Welcome to An Alternate Hugh. I'm Hugh Anderson, and this is some of what caught my attention recently. The King, the Clown, and Popeye are weeping in their milkshakes. You know, 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun will now have an extra ingredient in this great state of California. That's right, California wants to get in on your burger. It's the Fast Food Accountability and Standards Recovery Act. The bill would create a council of 11 unelected political appointees, regardless of whether they have any business experience, to run California's fast food restaurant industry from Sacramento. This fast food sector council would be empowered to establish wage rates, set working hours, and issue other rules and regulations for all fast food restaurants whose brands have more than 30 locations nationwide. The proposal would also impose joint and several liabilities on franchisors for alleged violations by their franchisees. So given this potential liability, franchisors would have to take a much more direct role in their franchisees' outlets. So this is just another reason for an ambitious entrepreneur to say, never mind. So let's move on to shrinkflation. No, your eyes are not deceiving you. What you're buying is shrinking right before your eyes. Whether it's a Gatorade bottle with 4 fewer ounces, 2.5 fewer ounces of cereal in the same size box, they used to call that settling, or 5 fewer tissues in a small box of Kleenex. Consumers are seeing inflation in more ways than just price increases. The term shrinkflation is becoming popular in the media as consumers have noticed package sizes shrinking. Product downsizing is a useful way for manufacturers so they can avoid raising prices because, quite frankly, we're too stupid to know the difference, apparently. So now, certain social media platforms think of themselves as the town square for sharing information. But who exactly is the town crier, and what are they sharing? Well, according to Neil Howe, most political tweets are produced by a very skewed minority of users. And you're going to be surprised when I tell you who they are. Political tweets are dominated by educated, older people, by women, and by Democrats, according to a recent Pew analysis. This report bolsters the idea that Twitter is an echo chamber. It doesn't reflect the views of most Americans, but rather the opinions of a vocal minority speaking to people who largely agree with them. A telling finding: only 45% of Twitter users believe the platform is effective at changing other people's minds. Users age 50 plus produce a whopping 78% of all political tweets, 29% are written by men, and 70% are written by women. 13% are written by Republicans, and 85% Democrats. Does anybody remember the silent majority? Now, lots of smart folks are debating whether a recession has already commenced or will avoid one. But the Atlanta Fed just released their opinion, so let's take a look. And to be filed under Should I Be Worried, this chart shows the rise in problem assets at problem institutions. You know, the banks that taxpayers will have to bail out since they didn't, do banking very well? No recession? Talk amongst yourselves. Remember Johnny Depp's original movies? That guy turned into this guy. Is this going somewhere? Of course it is. I don't remember if anybody figured out what was eating Gilbert's grapes, but I have a good idea of what's eating the stock market. Take a look at the percentage of small to medium-sized companies that are currently unprofitable. This is what's going on with passive investing and when you don't check under the hood. And Bloomberg reported that employees of JP face a federal jury in Chicago on criminal charges for thousands of so-called spoofing trades, which prosecutors say were used for years to generate illicit gains for the banks and its top clients. Spoofing? Oh, it sounds harmless and downright cuddly if you ask me. It's almost cute, but it's not. It's when you get taken, either by responding to a fake email or a transaction is misrepresented or even manipulated. The government says the bank manipulated prices from 2008 to 2016 by placing thousands of trade orders that were never intended to be executed. We used to call that painting the tape. The trial comes after years of a U.S. government crackdown on price manipulation that saw JP pay $920 million to settle spoofing claims 2 years ago. And they're still in business. An example of what the defendants are charged with was one of the co-conspirators warned his teammates that another colleague was trying to make it appear that the gold price was rising while trying to sell some of what they already owned. So at that moment, the employee placed an order to sell 7 gold contracts while placing an offer to buy 77. This would make it appear there was a lot of demand. This particular kabuki theater was viewable for 59 seconds before the employee was able to sell 3 of his contracts and cancel the other 77 he was allegedly looking to buy. With $330 billion of value in precious metals derivative contracts at the end of March, JP Morgan accounts for 67% of the positions put through U.S. banks. It holds 3 times as much as the next biggest player. JP Morgan, which has already admitted wrongdoing and agreed to cooperate with prosecutors, has been fighting to keep some of its internal communications out of the trial. Can't understand why that would be, but you can stew on all of that. So that's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed that little ride through my memory lane. Until next time, I'm Hugh Anderson, and this has been An Alternate Hugh.